basically about 10 poets are going to get up here and read one poem from their favorite poet. And we're going to give them a time limit of about 3 minutes each. So I'm sure you're going to hear some wonderful poetry from people that are both living and dead. I'm going to open up the evening with a poem by Langston Hughes. Just a little FYI, this is National Poetry Month, and every year the Academy of Poets picks about 6 poets to really celebrate, and this month would be Langston Hughes' 100th birth month, and so he's the poet that they're really celebrating big time. So I thought it would only be appropriate to open with something by him. This is called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when the dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like a river. And next up, we're going to have Ms. Sonia Cole. This is Charles Bukowski. Trouble with Spain. I got in the shower and burned my balls last Wednesday. Met this painter called Spain. No, he wasn't a cartoonist. Well, I met him at a party, and everybody got mad at me because I didn't know who he was or what he did. He was rather a handsome guy, and I guess he was jealous because I was so ugly. They told me his name, and he was leaning against the wall, looking handsome, and I said, "Hey, Spain, I like that name, Spain, but I don't like you. Why don't we step out in the garden, and I'll kick the shit out of your ass?" This made the hostess angry, and she walked over and rubbed his hair, while I went to the cracker and heaved. But everybody's angry at me. Bukowski. He can't write. He's had it. Washed up. Look at him drink. He never used to come to parties. Now he comes to parties and brings everything up and insults real talent. I used to admire him when he cut his wrists and when he tried to kill himself with gas. Look at him now, leering at that 19-year-old girl. And you know, he can't get it up. I not only burnt my balls in the shower that last Wednesday, I spun around to get out of the burning water and burnt my bumhole too. Next up, we have Traveling Dog, Mr. Mike Pratt.
I'm going to do a Bukowski also. Who lived in the slums with bums and whores. He was an ex-heavyweight contender. He was a heavy drinker, and he was a womanizer. And he womanized women who wanted to be womanized for money. He bet the horses with the same passion that he did everything. I'm glad I got sober before I started reading Bukowski, else I'd be drunk right now. You heard seedy side, let me give you another side. I get these girly magazines in the mail because I'm writing short stories for them again. And here in these pages are these ladies exposing their jewel boxes It looks more like a gynecologist's journal. Everything boldly and clinically exposed beneath bland and
Since we're doing favorite poets, I'm doing one of my sister's poems. She wrote this just a few months before she died. It's the spring day. I wandered among the sheltering trees. I felt on my skin the caressing breeze. I gazed across the great expanse of a meadow with flowers that seemed to dance. I reclined under a majestic oak and slept until the time I awoke. But all this ended much too soon. I had to scurry away instead of watching the moon. All this I did on a spring day. What could I have seen if I hadn't hurried away? On the walk home I tended to tarry, and I made unto myself one thoughtful query. That pressing question was this: why can't all enjoy such bliss? Thank you.
Next, we have the winner of our most recent slam, Sam Shears.
Sorry, I just walk a little bit slower than most people. Unfortunately, this poem won't be anything like either one of the poems I did at the Poetry Slam. This is actually a song written by Tom T. Hall, and it's called Secondhand Flowers. I was working in Miami for a day or two, so I decided I'd go see this girl that I once knew. I bought some flowers and went to see a girl I used to know, but the lady at her doorway said she'd married long ago. Times will change and towns will change, and there I was alone. Suddenly I wondered, maybe Susie will be at home. With the flowers in my hand, I walked up to her gate, but someone touched me on the arm and said, "You'll have to wait." Then I noticed there were people standing in a line. Some of them were holding pretty flowers just like mine. Someone told me Susie had been in an awful crash. The doctor said that she had just a little time to last. I went inside to talk to her, and she softly said my name. Then I heard her whisper, "I'm awfully glad you came." She had been the girl that I had always gone to see when someone that I cared for had been untrue to me. I handed her the flowers and softly kissed her hand. She said, "Don't be embarrassed. You know I understand." Before I left, I leaned to gently kiss her brow, and I heard her whisper, "Thank you for the second-handed flowers."
Coming up next, Dr. Paul Tucker.
I really didn't know I was going to do this. I was sitting there feeling left out and thinking, why didn't they ask me to do this? And now they did, and I don't have anything with me, but I have a bunch of things in my head. And I was thinking of things. And I guess there's so many things that one could do. But one of the most beautiful poems that I think was ever written was written by maybe my favorite poet. It's hard to say who your favorite poet is. There's so many great poets, both long time ago and now. But got such a weird name, Percy Bysshe Shelley. Sounds like a real fruitcake, but he was quite a guy. You know, I don't know, I've told you the story of his life before, but I remember one thing that his wife said in her biography of Shelley. She said, let's not discuss his sex life, because she just didn't really want to talk about it. He had all sorts of friends and things that he did that weren't exactly proper, but he was quite a man. But he wrote this poem that I've always loved. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, On the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculpture well those passions read which yet remain stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains around the base of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Ozymandias by Shelley.